Hi YouTube, Mako here again. Wanted to do an additional video in regards to the solvent dye process that I talked about that I used on bow number 3. I mentioned one of the key reasons I wanted to take up use of solvent dye was that I wasn't happy with the overall finish of painted and stained bows. PVC inherently does not like paints. They make paints like Krylon Fusion, and every brand has their own version of plastic paint. To some degree they're effective, but anytime you bump them around or generally use them, eventually wear spots start to form or chip. So I'm trying to find a process that makes PVC bow finish more appealing, and more importantly, a way to keep from seeing the inherent white pipe. That white thing right there. We want to, or at least my interest is to try and avoid getting white scratches on the paint. So anyway, this is what I was going to do today is just show you how durable. This is a solvent dyed piece of scrap pipe. Okay, this is the brown finish. I did it light to dark to kind of give, to show you the differences in coats. The only difference is that it's heavier on this end and lighter coated on this end. So same color, just less coats. So more heavily applied here, less heavily applied here. You'll also notice that I have some scribble mark. This is actually a piece of scrap that I was using for many reasons, but one was to test paints across the top to finish my bows out. This white and black here is a paint pen, and then I've got some other markings. These right here were done with a black permanent Sharpie. So I'm going to show you how durable this finish is when I describe it as being durable, and then I'm going to cut into the pipe and show you how deeply this penetrates. I know one of the concerns I had was how deeply it scored the pipe. So I'll do that as well. First, car keys, just to kind of illustrate wear and tear. This is me scratching with a car key. You can see ridges forming. You can see the beginnings of white pipe starting to form. So when I mentioned that it is not durable or not going to be foolproof, if you get deep enough to scratch the pipe, and I'm really pushing hard here, you can see my fingertips turning white, eventually you will get to deep enough in the pipe that you can actually get to that white finish. Okay, a couple little examples there, but that's very hard pressing. I've got a piece of 120 grit sandpaper. Thought I would show you how much you can sand here. You can see how sanding starts to take the finish off as well. What I'm really doing is sanding the actual pipe itself. This is actually sanding off PVC. I can feel it flaking off. But a light brush through the woods, vines, fletching on your arrows, things like that. You gotta really work it over to get down to the white, basically. To illustrate that, what I'll do is you can see the paint pen, and this is the lighter end of the pipe. As I scratch here, you can see how the paint pen's coming off. And I'm sorry, I'm doing this differently than I normally would. I scratched the paint pen off, but you still got dye underneath it. Okay, so overall very durable. I mean, you can't, outside of pretty severe treatment of the pipe, you're not going to scratch. It's not going to chip. That's maybe the best way of describing the protection that it's applying. The PVC, you got to really mar the actual PVC itself to get it to show through. I'm going to show you how deeply this penetrates. We're just going to cut this in half so that we can get a side profile. And I haven't ever done this, by the way, so this is all just for my purposes. Which is interesting, by the way, because I expected it to be deeper than it is. I intentionally went light on solvent because I don't want it impacting the strength of the pipe. My concern is if you've ever used the PVC primer, how gummy the pipe gets, that it was impacting strength. This is a really good indication of how deeply it's actually impacting the pipe. That is next to nothing. That should not be affecting the integrity of the pipe. In actuality, that makes me feel a lot better about using the product because that is extremely surface level. I could get, what this tells me is I could probably get much more aggressive with my coating and still have plenty of assurance that this is not damaging the pipe deeply enough to be a concern. So you can see the end here that this is where it was just applied loosely. But anyway, I wanted to kind of illustrate that because I know I talked about it in my last video. I'm really happy with the finish itself. I think it's very durable. The only one thing that I would add, I did have one problem with the black dye. For some reason it's bleeding out and it's only the black. This, I can rub my hands across it real hard. I'm not getting any red on my finger outside of my normal tone. The black for some reason was bleeding. I contacted Narad and they said they've never heard of it, so I may have just got a bad batch of dye or I may have had a bad batch of solvent. But regardless, just a thing of note as far as it not being perfect. That would be the only caveat that I would add. Anyway, I thought I would share that just so that you can kind of see the durability when I talk about durability of the finish. If you've got any questions, you'd like me to try something, let me know that. I'd be happy to illustrate it. You know, our finishes can be one of the most expensive things that you can do on your PVC bows. You know, your pipe itself is minimal cost, but paints and dyes and solvents and all the things that go into applying them can be probably some of the more expensive things that you do. So, you know, wanted to share this so that you got a good impression of what it was doing to the pipe and the strength of the finish. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to post and reply in comments and or post another video if somebody wants to see something specifically. Thanks everyone.